It appears President Biden is not only facing challenges domestically against Donald Trump, but also internationally against Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. The dynamic between these two leaders is increasingly complex, especially considering Netanyahu's recent shift in stance towards Biden. This change in attitude seems to be a strategic move by Netanyahu, possibly aimed at gaining support from right-wing American Jews who traditionally support Trump. Netanyahu's approach is particularly intriguing given the recent events. Despite the disastrous Hamas attack on October 7th occurring under his watch, Netanyahu is framing his campaign to maintain power with a bold argument. He positions himself as the only Israeli leader capable of resisting American and Arab pressures to establish a Palestinian state. This strategy is especially audacious considering Biden's earlier support, which included a visit to Israel after the October 7th attacks, where he appeared to give Israel a green light to aggressively counter Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu's focus on himself over broader national interests is evident. Facing multiple corruption charges, he seems to be leveraging nationalistic rhetoric to secure just enough votes from the far right to remain in power and potentially avoid prison. This self-centered political strategy is not without consequences, as it isolates Israel from potential allies needed for various strategic objectives, including governance and security in Gaza and recovering hostages. The context of these developments becomes clearer when examining the sequence of events and discussions involving U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. During a public session at the Davos World Economic Forum, Blinken and I discussed the challenges Israel faced on multiple fronts. Despite starting the war, Hamas is winning the global narrative through social media, focusing on civilian casualties in Gaza. Furthermore, Netanyahu has yet to articulate a clear political outcome for Gaza or establish a legitimate Palestinian partner for governance and peacekeeping. Additionally, Israel's security is compromised by attacks from pro-Iranian non-state actors, highlighting the need for global and regional alliances. Blinken emphasized the emergence of Arab and Muslim countries willing to engage with Israel like never before, offering integration and security assurances. However, this potential alliance hinges on the pathway to a Palestinian state, which is seen as essential for genuine integration and security. A stronger, reformed Palestinian Authority could play a crucial role in this context, facilitating a regional coalition against threats like Hezbollah and the Houthis, backed by Iran. The U.S. strategy under Biden involves a two-stage process aimed at resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The first stage focuses on achieving a ceasefire in Gaza and facilitating the return of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. This would involve a transitional period where local Palestinians could assume administrative roles, potentially supported by an Arab multinational force. The second stage envisions the Palestine Liberation Organization establishing a transitional governing authority, leading to a permanent government supported by the West and Arab states. Saudi Arabia's potential normalization of relations with Israel is contingent on the successful establishment of a two-state solution. Netanyahu, however, presents a starkly different narrative. In a recent news conference, he positioned himself as the defender of Israel against the U.S. plan, which he perceives as leading to a Palestinian state. Netanyahu insists on maintaining security control over all territory west of the Jordan River, contradicting the notion of Palestinian sovereignty. He proposes dealing with administrative affairs in Gaza through local actors and Arab state support, but remains committed to the complete eradication of Hamas, a stance not shared by the U.S. and the broader international community. Netanyahu's pursuit of total victory over Hamas is a point of contention. While Hamas is undeniably hostile towards Israel, the Palestinian Authority has been weakened, partly due to Netanyahu's policies. The lack of a clear endgame in the conflict with Hamas and the ongoing occupation of Gaza present moral and strategic challenges for Israel. Netanyahu's approach is criticized as being driven more by personal political survival than by national interest. The international community, particularly the Biden administration, insists on the necessity of a Palestinian state for lasting security and stability in the region. This stance is rooted in the understanding that the threats Israel faces are evolving and becoming more complex, with Iran's influence growing and non-state actors becoming more powerful. The creation of a legitimate, unified Palestinian partner is seen as essential, even if difficult to achieve. Netanyahu's opposition to this approach is viewed as a cynical ploy for political gain, disregarding the long-term interests of Israel. The situation in Israel is further complicated by Netanyahu's political maneuvers. He signals to right-wing West Bank settlers and the broader Israeli public his unwavering commitment to preventing a Palestinian state, framing himself as the stalwart defender of Israeli interests. This strategy, however, masks the lack of a clear path for achieving lasting peace in Gaza, securing the release of Israeli hostages, and addressing the moral implications of a prolonged occupation. Netanyahu's approach has been met with criticism from within his own circle. Gadi Eisenkot, a key member of his war cabinet and former chief of staff, publicly called for elections and a more trusted government. Eisenkot's critique highlights the growing discomfort with Netanyahu's narrative of absolute victory over Hamas, which many view as unrealistic and disconnected from the complex realities of the conflict. The Biden administration's response to Netanyahu's stance emphasizes the need for Israel to engage in a peace process that includes the establishment of a Palestinian state. This approach is seen as the only viable solution to the long-term challenges Israel faces, including the need for regional alliances to counter threats from Iran and its proxies. The U.S. position reflects a broader international consensus on the importance of a two-state solution for enduring peace and security in the Middle East. The tension between Netanyahu's political strategy and the broader strategic interests of Israel is a source of concern for many. While Netanyahu's rhetoric appeals to certain segments of Israeli society, it risks isolating Israel internationally and undermining the prospects for a sustainable resolution to the conflict. The situation underscores the complexities of Middle Eastern politics and the delicate balance required to navigate these challenges. As the situation continues to unfold, the actions and decisions of key players like Netanyahu, Biden, and other regional leaders will be critical in shaping the future of the region. The pursuit of peace and stability in the Middle East remains a daunting task, fraught with historical grievances, geopolitical rivalries, and deeply entrenched positions. However, the imperative for a lasting solution that ensures security and dignity for all parties involved remains as urgent as ever.